Hello and welcome to yet another video tutorial on Adobe Illustrator. So for this video we're gonna discover, or we're gonna talk about the element of layer in Adobe Illustrator. It's pretty much the same with Photoshop if you're familiar with Photoshop, but if this is the first time, or perhaps you're not familiar with the layer tools or the layer function in Adobe Illustrator, and this video is for you. So once you started your file, you create a new file, you will have one layer on your workspace or on your file. Okay, so it's important to understand that you can actually work with layers, and it will help you a lot if you have like a very complex work. So like just draw a few subjects on this layer. For example, you have a square, so that's one square. So you can see here that your square is basically has a black stroke and a white fill. So perhaps you just want to change that for a bit first, so make it thicker so that it's clear for us to see. So right now this particular box or particular square that you have is basically sitting on layer 1, so you have one layer at the moment. Okay, so layer can work with multiple layers. So basically you can add new layer by simply click this plus symbols over here. So create new layers. You can create a lot of them, but right now let's we're just gonna work with 2 layers first. So you can create layers and you can also delete them. How do you delete them? Is just click it and then drag it to this dustbin option, dustbin symbols, and it will disappear. Now if you notice, every layer has a color sort of attribute to it. So every time you create a new layer, it will create a different color for it. And if you want to change the color, you can double click on it, and that will make a layer option sort of pop up, and over here you can basically change the color. Now these colors is basically reflected when you select any subjects or any object on that particular layer. So right now we have this square on the first layer, which have a blue color. That means the selection colors of the selection is in blue. Alright, so for example, if you create another subjects on the second layer, layer 2, we have our ellipse tools or round or circle tools, and this circle is basically on layer 2. So now you can see that the selection is in red color. So that's how you sort of distinguish, like directly distinguish which this object is on which layer. So this is obviously on the first layers, and this is on second layers because it has different colors on the selection. If we go to the third layer, right, for example polygon, and then you started to see that that this polygon is has a sort of like a cyan or blue or light blue colors as its selection, because that's what we did over here. If you want to change it, go back to the layer option, double click on it, and then you can change it into a different color, for example orange, and then it will change into orange. Okay, so the advantage of having these different colors is that it's easy for you to basically distinguish which layer or the subject that you click on. So that's like very straightforward. You can basically see the difference. Now another attribute on layer is that it gave a different I guess how it's appear. So the layers on the above, like position on the top, will appear above the other layers. For example, perhaps we change the color first so that it's easy for us to see. Right, so this one green. Okay, so the red color square that we have over here is basically on layer 1, and it is underneath layer 2, and that's basically how it's gonna appear on your artboards. Your circle will be above the square, and then layer 3, because it's on the top, it will be on the top of other things. Alright, If you want to change that, you simply click on the layer and then you drag it to the top, or you drag it going down, and that will change the position of the subject that you have. Alright, so that's another attribute of layer. You can basically change the position, the arrangement of the subject that you have on each layer. There's another function. If you look at here, this is how you lock your layers, right? For example, you are working on the second layer or the third layer, and then you just wanna work on it, and then you don't want to click on any of the layers because you don't want to mess up things, because you want it to be there. You just want to work on layer 3, for example, so you can lock other layers, means that nothing will happen if you click on it, right? If you unlock it again, then you can work on it again. Another function that I want to talk about is this person right here, this little circle, right? This thing works really well when you have a lot of things on one layer, all right, and then they're just like all over the place, for example. So all the red one is all on layer 1, but you want to click, you want to select everything is on layer 1, for example. You just click on them, click on the small circle, and it will select everything on that particular layer, right? So you don't have to like drag everything. If you do that, and then possibly you will select everything on other layers as well. But if you simply just click on this small circle, then it will select only on that particular layers. Another function is the little square that you have next to it, right? That shows that you are selecting something on that layers. Even if you select everything, and then you will have that. Okay, so if you drag your cursor and then you happen to select something else on another layer, it will appear on that as well. See that? So this yellow circle is basically on layer 2, and you can see the red squares over here sort of appear itself, including the blue circle over here. So that's indicate that you are selecting something from layer 1 and layer 2, right? And if you move it, it will move all of them. Okay, another function is that you can change the object from layer 1 to different layer if you wish. For example, I want this polygon, I want to change all this polygon from layer 1, and I want to move it into layer 3, because layer 3 is for polygon. So what I do is just select all polygon that I want, and then drag this blue thingy into layer 3. So you just drag it and then drop it there, and that will change the position of this polygon into different layers. So if you disable layer 3, and you know that is basic, all the polygons is on layer 3, right? Yes, this is another function of layers as well. You can disable each layers if you want to work only on layer 1, so you can disable them in terms of its visibility. You can disable them, and then they will not sort of like mess with the appearance that you have. But sometimes you want to work on a particular layer, but you still want to be able to see other layers, but you don't want to mess them up. So that is when you use the lock system or the lock function, so you can work on one particular layer without disturbing any other layers. That is why layer system is so important, especially when you work on a very complex works, and then you're gonna have one layers of files after another layers of files, and then you don't want to mess one file while working with another file. That is when you use the function of the layers. Okay, there is huge application on layers. Hopefully we're gonna go through them as we do more video tutorial, but for this video particularly, we're just gonna cover layers. Alright, I guess I see you guys on another video then.